Charter Local Edition, Brad Pomerance in the Inland Empire today with Paul Davis. He's a councilman in the City of Riverside. And I want to speak with you about your city. During the recession, your city was doing pretty well. The general fund was in good shape. The Renaissance Project was moving forward. Other Inland Empire cities weren't doing that well. San Bernardino went bankrupt. Now we're out of the recession, and the general fund of Riverside is actually hurting a little bit. What's going on?
Well, the general fund is a direct reflection of a conservancy. We've asked people to cut back in both use of our utilities, and our utilities being water, especially. We went through, we're still in this drought. We've asked them to cut back 28%. In my neck of the woods, which is Western Municipal Water, it's 32%. We've asked people to reduce their electric use, and we do that through the measures that we have with LED lighting. And as a result of that, people pay less into the utility fund, and then your general transfer fund on that tax is subsequently less on the related taxes, whether it be utility users taxes and so forth. So you're operating on an average of 28% less revenues that you've been traditionally used to. And therefore you impact your ability to provide services to the residents.
And Riverside's used to a high level of service.
Yes,
I mean, this is Riverside, the kind of the crown jewel of the Inland Empire, and you have beautiful streets and beautiful trees. And so your residents have been talking, the city council has been talking, and there is now a decision to put a sales tax increase on the ballot in Riverside.
Yes, there is.
And let's talk about that sales tax increase. What we know is you currently have a half-cent sales tax. You're looking to increase it by 1 cent. Tell us about it.
Well, we receive a half-a-cent sales tax only through the county pool. It's not directly specific to Riverside, so you're still subject to that transfer from the county pool, which of course is provided through the state process. This is going to be a specific to Riverside only. We get 100% of the 1 cent rather than 1/2 of 1%, which we get now. So that'll give us the opportunity to effectively plan and budget and to be able to create what I call endowments so that we can have ongoing maintenance to provide the services and have the facilities maintained over a long, long period of time.
I want to ask you how you got to the 1 cent number. You could have chosen for a half-cent sales tax increase, 1.5 cents, 2 cents. Why a cent?
Well, I think the 1 cent is just that. It's 1 penny for every $1 that you spend. It's a user's tax. If you do not go out and purchase anything that's taxable, you're not charged, you're not participating in that cost. However, the 1 cent is important because of the generation of the funds. We have to look for the future. We have to have that vision of what's going to happen next. We cannot always predict that, but we looked at the factors that we have very good folks, not only with the city, but also in the financial industry that tells us what we can project. And of course, history is dictating what can potentially happen in the future.
Now, come 2017, the Prop 30 sales tax increase goes away.
It's December 31 of this year.
Right, so that's a half-cent sales tax that's going away.
That's right.
So technically, the voters of Riverside will only be required to pay an additional half cent.
From what they're used to today.
From what they're used to today. At the same time, though, there are other revenue measures on the ballot in the fall. There is the Prop 30 extension. Now, that's just the tax on millionaires, so let us be all lucky to have that tax applied.
Either you or I are probably going to be applied to that.
So but there is the cigarette vape tax that's going to be on the ballot. There is the statewide school bond that's going to be on the ballot, and there is an RUSD school bond that's going to be on the ballot. So there are 5 revenue measures on the ballot in the city of Riverside. What do you make of that?
Well, I think this is a time, and it's just not this city of Riverside. You're looking at least 3 to 4 other cities within our jurisdiction of the county, which is made up of 28 cities, who are looking towards the same vision. How that compares with how the state operates is different from the city. Many of these taxes that you're talking about, like the vape tax, well, I don't smoke, and I don't know if you do, that's not going to impact me. And I'm not so opposed to that because we need to have that understood and the damage it causes folks.
But the question, please.
The school tax, we talk about education. Education leads to prosperity and jobs. So in order for us to provide the services through education, and certainly city services, something's got to give. We cannot continue to live on the revenues we received up to 20 years past. We have to be ready for the future. Some people, as yourself, ask why 1 cent? Well, that's preparing for the future. We have obviously a deficit with our city. We have fixed that through the cuts. we cannot cut any more, because the next thing's going to have to be cut will be the critical city services of public safety.
But I guess what I want to get at is, are you concerned that with 5 revenue measures on the ballot, it's overload, and voters will say, I don't want to tax myself on these 5 different measures, even though I'm not a millionaire, I don't smoke.
I think in those particular aspects, those are less of a problem and very more palatable. And it comes down to education. And that's my job, and that's the job of my colleagues, it's the job of the state, the county, or whomever, is to educate. Here's the reason, the why, here's the vision for the future, and this is why we need your support. You know, I don't like taxes. I pay a lot of taxes myself, my business and residents, and so I'm sure you do as well. However, I see the need. In my business, my vendors raise their costs because of the pressures from various things, from employment and so forth. I have to raise my costs to you, the end users. Not indifferent than a city. We have pressures that we cannot control. We can't ask our employees to live on salaries from 10 years ago because of inflation.
What we know is that the city took a poll on the sales tax measure. And the poll indicated that 64% would support the 1-cent sales tax increase. Now, this particular sales tax, because it is a general tax, only needs 50% plus 1. So 64% is more than enough. Do you believe that the support shown in this summer survey will extend and maintain through November?
I do. I think that when you look at 600, and it's a rough average based on our population of about 2%, and it was a broad range from all the districts, and I looked at the numbers, and they published those as well as what percentage was from which district. In my district, was 19% of that 600 was polled, and it was overwhelmingly yes.
Tell us about your district.
Well, my district is Ward 4, consists of Overlook area up the hill, as we call the Orange Crest, Mission Grove.
Is it
and all
a
that
more
area.
affluent district, a
No,
mixed
it's not.
economically
it is
district?
Probably the most mixed district in the entire city. We have the lowest of the incomes, and we have the highest of the incomes.
So it's indicative.
And primarily, my district consistent of middle-income folks that are hard-working folks. So I'm unique within my particular spread of the demographics within any other district because, again, Overlook area, very high.
Right.
Orange Crest, Mission Grove, we're middle income.
Right.
And you look at Casablanca and that area there, lower income.
So let me ask you, we know what the poll says, but you're out and about every day.
Yes.
And so what do you hear? Are
Well,
people thinking about it yet?
Some are. Not many people are more focused on other issues we've recently had, but they are focused on it. And my job is, in the community meetings that I have, and we're discussing this at length, is here's the good, bad, and the ugly.
Right.
What would you like?
And you are in support of this. You have come out in favor of the
I have come out in favor. Yes, I have. But I work for the people. And if the people say that we are not in favor of this by a majority through the conversations that we have, whether I like to be in support of it or not, I represent and I am their voice. And I will carry that voice. Whether I like the voice, being I'm in favor of it and they're not.
But you're a voter,
that's
just
my
like
job.
they are.
Right, but that's one vote.
Right.
Right.
So, but if you start getting the feeling that your voters are not in support, would you change your position?
No, I don't think so. I
Right.
think it's more incumbent upon me to provide additional education because I haven't done a good enough
Right.
job to provide the whys, the what we call the benefits and features in the business of sales. That's what I need to do.
So tell us what you'll do over the next few months on this issue.
Well, we continue the education piece, and most people are going to say, well, what are you spending the money on?
Right.
And our number one priority in my district has always been public safety. You dial 911, you want that officer or that fireman here to provide the services that you're asking for, and not 20 minutes later. It needs to be as quickly as possible, preferably within 3 to 5 minutes.
Okay, his name is Paul Davis. He is a member of the Riverside City Council. That city will have a sales tax measure on the ballot, as well as, 17 other measures from the state and the bond and from Riverside USD. I am Brad Pomerance in the Inland Empire, Charter Local Edition.